I get asked all the time how you deal with having to stop and walk during a run. I battled this myself, and I have to share with you guys what I learned from being someone who couldn't run more than a minute or two at a time to eventually becoming a run coach to then this year finishing my first 100-mile race. So when I was in high school, I needed activity credits to graduate, and they had to happen on campus. I was doing a lot of ballet off campus on my own time, but that didn't count, so I decided to sign up for a run club. Very straightforward. We would meet 3 times a week for 1 hour. I figured I'd just go run with some friends. I'm athletic enough because of ballet, so I'll check that box and we will be good to go. Boy, was I wrong, because the first couple weeks in that run club were miserable. I was so humiliated at being the weak link of the group. I was the one that had to stop everyone every couple of minutes to go into a walk and catch my breath. I even remember that when someone else might walk first, I was just cheering with relief because I wasn't the one to hold people up. Even though it felt like in those first couple months, I was never gonna get good at running, I was never gonna be a runner, eventually I started to make some headway and break some ground. So fast forward, I graduated from high school, got those activity credits, and several years later after college, I end up living in San Francisco. And if you've been to the Bay Area, you know how stunning it is. The views are insane. You can't help but want to be outside. So that itch to run and start running again really comes back for me, but so did my complex with walking. And so every run I did, my goal was to run the whole thing, no matter the distance. If you've been to San Francisco, the hills are insane. They're big, big hills, every turn you take. And that became my obsession, was getting up those hills in a run and not a walk. After several months of getting back into running, I'm like, let's sign up for something. I want to test myself, see what I can do. So I signed up for my first road marathon. This is going to be the Big Sur Marathon. There's going to be a good bit of climbing in there. My dad's going to do it with me. I'm super excited about it. And of course, my goal is to run the entire marathon, no walking. So I did it. I got through that marathon, and I did it without walking, which meant in my head, I proved everything I needed to prove to myself. I'm a runner, I have control over this, I can run an entire race without stopping. Like any of us, as soon as we hit those goals, we immediately start thinking about, well, if I did that, what else can I do? 2 weeks later, I find myself not thinking, oh, could I run that faster? Like a lot of people, they want to PR their marathon, they want to just do it much faster. I decided I was interested in going farther. So I start Googling things and I find these ultra marathons. And I'm like, wow, I hear about people doing marathons, but I don't hear about a lot of people doing ultra marathons. And if I did one, I could call myself an ultra marathoner. At the time, I just thought, so badass, that's exactly what I want. I'm gonna work towards it. So I sign up for that ultra marathon. I start to train really hard. My headspace is still, how far can you run? I'm still focused on the running, not the walking. That has no place in my training. Until this one day, my dad and I are out on this long training run, Northern California. We had been out there for a long time, and we got to this one climb, and it was a long hill. I didn't even realize how long. I'm running up that thing, just doing what I do. About a third of the way up, I am gassed completely. I have this immediate panic of like, you've been training so hard, you've been running so long, how is it that you have to walk right now? This makes no sense. I turn behind me and my dad is just, this little shuffle, but he is just so consistent coming up the hill, much slower than I was going, and he didn't look tired at all. He was managing his pace, and it hit me. Getting up these long climbs is a big part of finishing an ultramarathon race. And there are gonna be times that I'm gonna feel exactly how I just did despite all of my training. So what is it that I have to do? Do I have to slow down? Do I, dare I say it, have to walk? What a conflict that was for me, because here I am months, years into running, and I'm suddenly back where I felt like I was in that run club. I have to walk, and it made me worry that I still was not a runner. But instead of panic this time, I decided to step back and gain some perspective and look at what my actual goal was, which was to finish an ultramarathon. Keyword being finish. And I don't care what distance you may be training for, but your goal ultimately is to finish. So I realized that if walking was the strategy, which through my training and through that 50K, I definitely realized it is, you have to break things up with that walk to pace yourself over the longer goal of finishing. I was okay with that. I realized that even the best runners out there have to take walk breaks because it means that they are accomplishing their goals as a result. It is part of the strategy. The details of what we do in our training and in our races don't matter. It's about the bigger goal of accomplishing that task, moving forward through the fatigue, through things hurting or not believing in yourself, but getting to the end is what matters. And if you are struggling with figuring out how to build a run walk strategy through any distance, I highly recommend checking out this video right over here that we did. Really, really good technique for that. It will help you go so much farther than you have before. Leave any comments you had on this video down below. I look forward to seeing you guys in another video.